Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. This is the fourth day of the 18th Vermont Organics Recycling Summit, and I'm Natasha Duarte, the director of the Composting Association of Vermont. We organized the summit in partnership with Vermont Agency of Natural Resources, and it's being held as a kickoff event for International Compost Awareness Week, which starts this coming Sunday. And that event is the largest and most comprehensive education initiative of the compost industry. And the theme this year is Compost Nature's Climate Champion. And I just want to bring people's attention to this poster over here on the right. I've been putting a new one in for every session. This is by a student at the University of Vermont, who was part of Dr. Debnair's composting ecology and management class. And so every year they take the theme for International Compost Awareness Week and make their own creations of it. And the entire gallery is available on our website at compostingvermont.org/VORS for VORS. And if you click on the individual images, up will come the student's name and their story about their inspiration and how they came up with their own design. And so that's just been a really fun partnership we've had going for a number of years now that I like to highlight. I'd also like to thank all of our sponsors and exhibitors. Without these folks' support, and often many of them support the summit perennially, we would not be able to offer this full week's program to you all free of charge. And so their support really helps us lower the bar or lower any barriers for access and participation in this week-long summit. We really appreciate that. Our sponsors and exhibitors this year include Community Bank, Eco Products, Addison County Solid Waste Management District, AgriLab Technologies, Casella, Food Cycler, Nature Cycle, Viably, Vermont Natural Ag Products, CV Compost, the Vermont Produce Program from the Agency of Agriculture, Food and Markets, and Woods End Laboratories. So join me in just giving a virtual thanks to all of those lovely folks who help us put on this event. And here we are on Thursday, May 2nd, in the second session of the day, leaning into the system and learning from each other. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and invite Alex, our presenter, to share her screen while I introduce her. So Alex Lacy is the Outreach Coordinator for Windham Solid Waste Management District. She's also a member of the Composting Association of Vermont's Board of Directors and works as a native plant landscaper. She's passionate about all facets of the waste cycle and how we interact with it. A core belief of Alex's is that the more we lean into the systems we have created for the movement of stuff, food, soil, and beyond, the more we feel connected to each other and ourselves and can affect positive change. So Alex, please take it away.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm wicked excited to be here. Came to my first VORS a couple years ago. Had COVID that week. It was a perfect week to lay back and learn for free. So definitely inspired by that and just really honored to be here. Yeah, Natasha asked me to join in. She saw a video that I made concerning business outreach. It's up on our YouTube channel of Windham Solid Waste Management District. That's who I work for as an outreach coordinator. And yeah, I guess she was kind of tickled by the visuals and kind of how I presented, and I'm very happy that she liked it. So kind of talking about that, but also about the last 10 years. It's been 10 years since we started the Act 148 journey. So I want to highlight some positive change that has happened then, and then I'm going to get into kind of like how I like to conduct business outreach. And yeah, that's what I'm going to do. One thing that I want to mention, since I've got a lot of SWMEs on the line here, I had the opportunity to reach out to all of you and ask, how are things going with you? And I have been extremely busy and haven't been able to do that. So I'm going to try and take my own advice from this presentation in the coming months and reach out more and kind of connect with more of the Vermont municipalities and not just my own. So I look forward to working with you, all of you in the future. Let's see, sharing screens. Cool. Yeah. So just what Natasha said, compost, love compost. Gardening, love gardening. Close that circle. And I'm also just a human. I live in New Hampshire, actually. But I do get to explore the benefits of the Vermont Act 148 being at work and having all of these services available to me. I can't tell you what a difference that makes. It's such a blessing. I'm a person who barters for oil changes, and I sing loudly while driving. And I'd love to know who's in the audience today. So if you could add something in the chat about yourself, I'm going to try and find where that chat thing is so I can just keep an eye on it. There it is. Cool. Yeah, so tell me something about yourself. Tell me about something compost related or otherwise. And it could be anything, just a little something about yourself. And as you enter those entries, I'll let you know a little bit what I'm up to with this presentation. We're going to go through kind of like a elementary timeline of the last 10 years, and then get into some of the tools and techniques that I use for business outreach. I don't know everything. I'm a little jerk millennial, and so I have a lot to learn from all of you and from the world at large. So as I go forward and you notice maybe something's incorrect or you want to add some information, go ahead and pop it in the chat. Yeah, cool. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. So this is my timeline. Roughly 10 years, 2012, Act 148 begins. That's actually when Windham Solid Waste began its composting pilot. So it's pretty sweet that it happened that early on. It's also when Bill Murray, the famous actor, said something about, not many of us can be useful on our own or for others, but we can still be useful as compost. Yeah, 2015, pay as you throw, paying for each bag of trash. It doubled Brattleboro's food scrap collection. And because we already had that system in place, we were able to collect it. There was a stat from, I think, the DEC, and it said, food donations by 2016, between pay as you throw beginning and 2016, food donations increased by 40%. 2017, Vermont transfer stations are now collecting food scraps. Brattleboro went to every other week pickup. We have curbside pickup for all households, at least households. And this again increased food scrap collection. 2020, now everybody is taking food scraps out of the trash. Vermont also did a single-use plastics ban. So that was very helpful, kind of in line with everything. 2021, the on-farm composting grant started that Natasha and I think Athena Bradley put together. Wow, so cool. And I think you all learned a lot about it this morning. And yeah, this is just a wacky one. 2023, Vermont's first all-natural burial cemetery opened. So just kind of like in line with composting and engaging with the natural process of things, from food waste or even human waste. If you've read Humanure Handbook, wow, what a read. That section of our cycle is often broken. So it's cool to see not just, commercial compost or farm compost, but like the whole shebang. And here we are in 2024. There are 42 listed haulers within the state of Vermont. There are so many waste districts with amazing outreach and education coordinators that are all doing, their individual part. Since the advent of the master composting program in 2003, there's been 1,063 master composters that have cycled through that program. And in Brattleboro, again, that's where my district is, so that's what I'm focusing on a little bit, but for 4,300 households are participants in the curbside food scrap collection, and that's 76% of all households in Brattleboro. So when I first started and I'm learning about the law, the Act 148, all the things that are happening, what tools certain folks have, like what tools haulers have, what kind of funding folks have for help, accessibility. Sometimes I got the feeling like the cart was put in front of the horse, but as you look back through time, there's just been so much positive change, and there's been so much communication, at least big picture view, to address the challenges that we've been going through and gaps in our knowledge. Yeah, so a lot of cool, and so much more has happened, of course. And this timeline doesn't honor like all of the individual workers. And I'd just love to shout out to the folks at Windham Solid Waste, John Fay, who was here before me, Anita Grant, who's still here. She wears a million hats. Bob Spencer is our executive director, and they've put in countless hours of workshops around composting, helping with language barriers to different folks in the business world, setting them up with appropriate information that they can use and interact with and be a part of the community. Yeah, lots of different really cool things. So that's my little timeline. And if you have any ideas about what since 2012, what else has been going on, maybe I can build on this and keep going with it. Oh yeah, and nationally, these dots are all the STA certified compost facilities. So seal of testing assurance, which first launched in 1999. I'm sure with like way less than half of this, like composting is really taking off. It's very exciting. So these are bigger facilities and farms that choose to test. And then also, across the US, community composting. I mean, look at that, from 2010 to 2021. This is an Institute for Local Self-Reliance image. They do a great job gathering data. It's just really taking off, and it's very exciting. So yeah, I'm going to talk about business outreach in particular. And I kind of look at business outreach as that woman in the car. Vermont is so gorgeous. I get to take a road trip and go visit, especially food areas. Do I love food? Do I love food? Of course. My gosh. So I got 3 main tips for getting to know the businesses. Being fearless in connecting with businesses in your community is number one. We don't always have great days. We don't always want to get out and be extroverts. So go with the flow, choose the day that's right for you. Choose the day you need to stretch your legs. When opening a new door, you never know what you might find. It could be scary. You could be having a bad day. I might not be fearless every day, but I definitely conduct outreach on days when I'm feeling a little bit more excitable and wanting to share time with other people. This is a privilege to have this job and be able to talk to folks about compost with a purpose rather than just as a nerdy visitor of the business. And sometimes, you get met with glazed over eyes. You get met with folks who maybe take offense at your inquiries. But a lot of the times you find new little pockets of very hopeful communities, folks who are just doing the most to support each other. And never in my wildest dreams did I think I would find out all these different creative ways that folks divert food scraps from the landfill. Yeah, it's not just about keeping it out of the landfill, right? It's this this movement, what we're all doing, what we're all a part of, it's doing so many things. It's building resilience in communities. It's connecting neighbors. Asking for help is not easy for a lot of people, but it actually really strengthens us to be dependent on each other for a good reason. Yeah. So yeah, be fearless, open that door, go in, understand the systems at play yourself, you know, like what's like, so let's say I'm going into Westminster. This is our waste district. The colors mean different things. Westminster is striped, so it has curbside. So at least I know that. Don't know a lot of other things about it. I have a friend, John, who lives in Westminster. What else? What are questions you want to ask yourself? You know, what's the population? What's the turnover? Is it more of a vacation place? Is it a sleeper community? Is it a place with rockin' restaurants, or do they have like just like one car shop slash souvenir shop? It's all different. It's all different all over the place. And a lot of my work with Windham Solid Waste has been rural grant related. And so I'm going into areas where word of mouth is just like it, you know, there's not much else. Whereas in Brattleboro, you know, you can find a lot of online resources and whatnot. So it's different everywhere. One tool that we use at Windham Solid Waste, we made a bunch of these called summary of services. So it kind of just like goes down the list of things that each town has in terms of waste. So knowing the different haulers that are servicing there, knowing if they have a transfer station at all, or, you know, you get the gist of that. Yeah, and then also like what's the farm, like thinking about food scraps, what's the farm community look like? These are just a few farms highlighted in the town of Westminster, but if there's a huge amount of pig farms and there's this one cafe that does a lot of veggie meals and they're not composting yet or donating or feeding animals, like those are the kinds of connections that you can make. And people need, they crave convenience. So finding a farm close by who'd want to work with them is a pretty special thing. Yeah, so knowing what they've got, what are the cards that they have in their hand. And then finally, just I don't go in there looking to give them a speech about what I know. I'm more going in with curiosity. So let the folks that you're working with educate you on how their system works. You can fill in all these gaps later. You know, you don't need to bring in a clipboard or extensive notes. Sometimes if I'm having a really good conversation, I'll run back out to my car and get it. But you definitely don't want to be the guy like just giving a one size fits all. Oh no, you don't do this. One size fits all. You can do this. And I've been this guy a lot. And I know that meat and dairy are good for compost, but maybe they're not good for your compost. So yeah, it turns out there's no one size fits all. If your neighbor has their bird feeders out and you're still doing a good job composting, the bears are still going to come in your neck of the woods. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean that if you know how to compost or you've got it down, that it's all going to work out. Yeah, I recently talked to a gentleman. He was asking about how to deter rats from his compost area. And I kind of, we had a rapport, you know, so I started asking about like, you know, like what's the clutter level around the yard or the garage? He's like, oh, there's so much junk everywhere. I'm like, well, I don't think fixing, you know, improving the compost is going to keep them away from your house. They're definitely just always going to be there. So there's lots of things. It's a system thing, right? There's so many things that are involved with whether something's going to work out or not. It might not only have to do with your compost pile. It might not only have to do with your household. It could have to do with a broader map of the system. Yeah, and definitely try not to explain over folks. You know, I really try not to be this person unless somebody asks me something specifically. I'll hold back and just let them guide the journey. Yeah, we don't like to do that. We put a ketchup X over that. Yeah, we are all cogs in this compost machine. Each of us plays a role, and none of us is more important than the others. So just, I feel, again, very excited to be in this role because obviously this work excites me. And I hope that I get other people excited about it. Yeah. So a couple tools that I use. This is a form that I think John made, my predecessor. I think that Vermont DEC has something similar to help you kind of just fill in the gaps of like what a business is doing, whether it's right or wrong. You know, you don't let your face show if it's right or wrong unless they're asking you specifically. The outreach sheet definitely comes in handy, but I try and just go in without anything first. And I was actually just on a meeting call with the DEC, and they recently put this script out, which is really helpful as someone in the industry, just especially for somebody like me who likes to ad lib so much, just keeping me in line, keeping my horse blinders on. Yeah, so this script helps to well, maybe I ice break, and this script helps me stay on track. But that is available. The DEC is just so many resources with them. It's amazing. So tools for folks who want to do outreach, not for a job, but like, you know, they're curious or they want to somehow promote composting or food donation or, you know, feeding animals. And they're again, the DEC, this is a little screenshot from their food scraps page. There are like a million links to any question you could want. And if they don't answer your question, they are super duper responsive. So this is for everybody in the waste industry and also beyond. And then one tool that I got introduced to this year was the Front Porch Forum. I don't know how popular this is with all of Vermont, but within our waste district, it is added to every single day. This is a place where I guess kind of like Facebook, but a little bit more separate, you know, it's more informational, feeling a little bit more, I don't know what the word is, but folks post gratitude postings on this all the time. So like say if you're not doing this for a job and you enter a cafe and you just like want to shout out like, oh my gosh, you compost all of the food waste from your cafe yourself. You found a way to home compost certified compostable plastic. That's insane. You can pop that up on gratitude and folks can interact with that. It's also a really great place, like if you are a cafe, like, oh my gosh, my pig farmer, they just, you know, they harvested and now I don't have anywhere to put my food scraps. You can put out a post on here and just like it'll call for anyone who's using Front Porch Forum. It'll go to your town and beyond, and hopefully you'll be able to connect for things you need or things you want to give away or things you want to sell. So make it about compost. Do it up. Yeah, do you need coffee grounds for your blueberries? Put it on Front Porch Forum. Somebody will connect you to a coffee shop that's just, you know, either getting them picked up or whatever. It's a great tool. It's a great tool for everybody. And then you've done it. Okay, you did your outreach. You have all your notes. What now? Share it. Share it as much as you can. The why. What is the why? Nail down the why. Why are you here? Why are you talking to me? Or why am I talking to you? That's what I'm doing. I'm sharing my work. You know, and when I do share my work, I try and be mindful of jargon. It's not too technical in the waste world, but just keeping language a little bit more layman like. Yeah, so nail down that why. Why are you doing it? Put some pep in your step with that. Identify the who's. Who are you? Whose work are you sharing? Who is a part of this system that you are trying to share with others? It's really cool. Just to, you know, gratitude's great. And then celebrate the successes, whether they're big or small. That's important. There are definitely lots of challenges with this work. There are folks who don't comply because they don't have the knowledge, but a lot of the times there's not complying because of something like emotional, or there's a lot of challenges out there, but celebrate the successes nonetheless. Yeah. And all of this will lead to, oh, sorry, Canva. You must have put in positive thing instead of positive sign. Positive change. All of this will lead to positive change. All right. And oh yeah, while you're doing all of this, remember all the small things. I can't tell you how many times I've left a site and didn't snap a picture, and that site is like 70 miles away or whatever. Just take pictures. They're great. It's great to have local examples in your work. And yeah, you never know when you're going to get back there. You might just become friends with the folks working at these shops and be connected through the phone or email because you don't get out there as much. But yeah, take as many pictures as you can, and find a format that you really like. I love using Canva for everything, videos included. So without further ado, I'm just going to show you a few snippets of the video that I created. It is up on YouTube, and actually BCTV, Brattleboro's community television, was able to air it. So it got a lot of feedback, and that was exciting and kind of unexpected. Oh, there you are.
Food scrap diversion, basics for businesses. Windham Solid Waste Management District presents a video explaining why and how businesses divert their food scraps from the trash, and how you can too. I'm going to show you how your food scraps can strengthen your business and your community. What is food scrap diversion? Food scrap diversion, simply put, is putting food scraps not in the trash.
Great. Yeah, so a lot about the why here. I'm just trying to show my audience what is food scrap diversion all about. Here I've got a statistic about methane. You know, a lot of it is coming from the landfills. And what do you think might happen if we didn't have food scraps in the landfills? Probably less methane. And then my favorite part is getting into the businesses themselves. Several local businesses were included in this video. They're just all such rock stars. So it definitely was low-hanging fruit working with these folks. I merely elevated them to a broader audience. So this is my way of celebrating them.
Provisions in Jamaica, located at 816 Vermont Route 30. West River Provisions is a quaint country store offering all of the necessities. It serves as a community communication hub, and it's run with a lot of heart. They serve up a variety of food made to order at their deli. West River Provisions collects pre-consumer food scraps, meaning the bulk of their collection happens at the prep stations and the customers are not involved. This work is made easy by smart placement of food scrap bins and a touch of staff training. For now, the kitchen stores food scraps in a sealed food-grade bucket for a pig farmer to pick up for animal feed. They used to take it right to the Jamaica transfer station themselves in their truck for commercial composting. They also divert bacon fat and store it for a local soap maker who then sells the soaps at their store. Next up is the Guilford Country Store, located at 475 Calvin Coolidge Memorial Highway. It's another community hub that diverts pre-consumer food scraps. Located at 20 West Main Street, contracts a local hauler to take their compostable material. They are a top-notch cafe that offers local food. In addition to separating back-of-house scraps, they also allow their customers to join.
And the post-consumer food scraps from the roost has actually ended. There's been, again, know your system, know the system at play. They are in Wilmington. Very, very high rate of visitors and vacationers from all over the place coming for ski season or whatever folks do in the summer in Wilmington. And there was just so much contamination. So you have to kind of change with what's going on. But yeah, all of the businesses that I highlighted they all have something different going on. They all are doing it a little bit differently. And that's why I wanted to share this, because it was so cool. Some of them are taking it directly to the transfer station. Some have a friend doing that. Some are giving to a pig farmer. Some, the Newfane store, the current owner was a pig farmer at one point. So he knows firsthand the challenges of getting food scraps from a restaurant or cafe that's like just littered with contamination. So what I find doing all of this stuff is that the folks who are diverting food scraps also kind of have like the best products. There's just so much heart that goes into this kind of work, and folks who understand the full circle, you know, where your food comes from, you know, healthy soils, good compost, quality compost. It makes a difference like in the whole realm of things. So yeah, Grace Cottage Hospital, actually, this one was fun because they reached out to me. I wouldn't have thought to go to the hospital. I didn't know too much about it. They wanted help with signage. They have been doing an insane amount of work trying to source takeout stuff that's all certified compostable. They have a hauler that brings it to us, and we accept certified compostable ware. So I helped them make signage, and we made a little slideshow for their dining area. Yeah, so everybody was different. I'm just kind of seeing if there anything else. And then the last part of my video is I do want to talk about, you know, certain challenges. I mean, who hasn't looked at a compostable plasticware and thought, oh, that's recyclable, it's plastic, it looks and feels the same. Who hasn't, you know, been done with a long day of work and you just don't have time to get to the transfer station? And although I haven't had issues with bears, what Vermonter hasn't seen a bear rifling through food? Everybody's going through different stuff. So it's just really important to note that and work with empathy for all that. So I'm going to try and wrap up my portion of the talk here. I'm just going to peep at the chat real quick. Yes, love Front Porch Forum. Yeah. So sharing information and kudos around food scrap diversion definitely makes an impact. I'm sure that there's folks out there who think what I'm doing, it's like, oh, you're just cheering. And it's like, yeah, but have you ever been to a sports event where the cheerleaders just rock? Like, it is so exciting. It just really gets you amped up. So share those kudos as much as you can. They definitely make an impact. And in sharing, we are storytelling, and it's where it's at. Storytelling is awesome. I want to practice it more in my life for sure. What will we leave behind if not just our waste? You know, let's leave behind some good stories. Another note that I want to put up there is just leading with empathy, because you never know what folks are going through and those different barriers that they're up against. You might not be able to identify all of the barriers just from a waste district generated summary of services. You might not, there's a lot that goes into everything outside of the online world. And real change happens when there is empathy involved. You know, I'm sure I have unfortunately not been able to get to any of the other VORS talks, but I can imagine that some folks are talking about how difficult it is to change behaviors, and tackling climate change, the climate crisis is like, yeah, we're all complicated humans, and if we don't feel supported, if we don't feel good, we are way less likely to like make positive change. Most likely Act 148 has helped a lot of people get on board. I know a lot of businesses, when I ask them like, why do you do it? Why do you divert food scraps? Some of them would say the law. But I think it's more emotional than that. I you know, not political or anything, but just closing the loop. or maybe they learned something from someone who made them feel good. You know, just getting raw information from cold, dry paper materials isn't always that inspiring. We remember way more when emotion is attached, and good emotions definitely move towards positive change rather than being chastised for doing the wrong thing or not knowing better or whatever. Practicing empathy, we have to do it, and it might take a while and it might be difficult for us to do, but it's the thing that's going to cement the change and keep it going on a good path. And it doesn't all have to be so hard either. You know, you can have fun with this. And then I just love this graphic by, well, it's about Joanna Macy's work with Active Hope. Yeah, there's a lot of challenges that folks are going through. I'm here to share gratitude, but honoring our pain. And, you know, pain with compost, that could look like restaurants, more so than food retailers, find food scrap diversion to be costly because they are the only ones that they are paying for somebody to take it away or whatever. And households and residents, 20% of households that compost in Vermont categorize it as hard or very hard. 26% of folks find the law confusing. You know, this is kind of like our composting pain. So we don't want to ignore this, but we do want to prop up the positive stories. And that's why I made that video, so that folks could follow along to the tune of what works for them, because there's just so many different ways to do it. And definitely a big shout out to Canva for making my graphic design work easy and fun. If you haven't checked it out yet, it makes life pretty easy. And that's it. That's all I've got for everyone. So if folks are still here and they want to unmute and join in the conversation, that'd be great.
Yeah, thank you so much, Alex. This is great. Yeah, does anyone want to share? I know there's some other outreach coordinators on the line. You're getting a lot of thanks and loving ideas in the video through chat. Yeah, we use Front Porch Forum a lot as well. I think that's pretty ubiquitous throughout our state. It was fun to see from Rebecca that New Hampshire has sort of a corollary to that. And yeah, it's more ways to communicate and connect.
Yeah,
It's great.
Yeah, it's especially doing the grant work for rural communities only. Like, there are just still so many folks that aren't, you know, they're not here today. They might be interested, but they're not computer savvy at all. And I try and cater to that. Like the bulletin boards, huge, you know, just physical cork boards. That's the Front Porch Forum of many communities that I work with.
Yeah, absolutely. Where is that center in the town that everyone gathers or goes to, right?
Yeah. So that's kind of my next move with the grant that we have now. I do get distracted when I see something shiny and change scopes of grants often, but I'm starting like a little library free event, like presentation series. So I'm just going to all the libraries within our rural towns and giving talks on what they want to hear about. You know, I created a menu for them to choose what topic, what are they curious about, or do they want to build their own discussion, and just be there. Because I find that when folks feel like a curiosity of theirs, if they can go somewhere where they feel like it's transparent and not hidden, they're more likely to interact with it. So I'm trying to make at least Windham Solid Waste District a little bit more transparent in what happens with recycling, food waste, food scraps, trash, everything. Trying to get more buy-in from folks, raise that diversion rate.
Nice.
Yeah, and I know you're no stranger to doing presentations, Natasha, and I've watched you in action. It's amazing. It's great. I always learn something new. I know you're probably recycling them over and over again, but I don't know, it's really great. I definitely enjoy it.
Yeah, I think just to echo some of what you said, understanding that there are so many different ways to divert food scraps and have compost systems or work with other partners who do the composting for you or the
Yeah.
hauling for you potentially is that, there is no one size fits all, but that means that there is something that fits almost everybody. And so
Yes.
that's that's the message that we try to bring as well, especially at the residential and small business scale.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it might just because I'm a nerd about compost, but like it just like gets me so excited when folks are connecting with getting more help for it. Oh, the pig farmer wants the veggie scraps. Oh, this woman's making soap with the bacon fat. Oh, the coffee grounds go to that blueberry garden. It's just like, wow, how many people are in this web, Like it's amazing. And it's not, I don't know, there's just something so wonderful about it because it's going towards completing this cycle of life and not wasting everything.
Mm-hmm.
Such for a good cause. Yeah, I don't know. Well,
Nice. If anybody has other resources, we can certainly use this recording as an opportunity to pool resources that we each use and start like a little idea board of our own in terms of sharing outreach techniques, etc. Well, Alex, thank you so much. I learned a lot. I love the work you're doing. I don't know who else to credit, but Kat Buxton, I'm not sure if she coined this, but I think about a lot of the work you're doing is building the social mycelia, right? So we have all of these tendrils going out, supporting community resilience. And I do see a lot of the outreach and education work, communication, relationship building, all of that, even if it's about around something like food scrap diversion, builds those relationships that help a community be resilient at a much larger scale. And so I just really want to thank you, Alex, as well as all of the recycling coordinators and other folks, master composters and others who are doing this kind of work at the community scale, because it makes us stronger together as a whole. And so, yeah, so thank you. And thanks to our participants for joining on the end of a Thursday afternoon.